So with today being November 14th,
Yeah.
I put milk in this coffee that had a date on it that said November 6th, which I know is like a sell-by date. It's not a best by date. It's a sell.
Yeah, but it's still far from that date.
Yeah, it's like a week and a day.
How did it smell?
That's the thing. What am I smelling for? I smell
Sourness.
I smell the milk thinking, but I realize I have zero idea what stench I'm actually trying to perceive.
Well, I think it's a instinctual thing. If you smell it and you think it smells off, then you should listen to your brain's reaction. I mean, how did we know anything was bad for us? We would taste a little bit of it or smell it, animals.
Listen to your schnoz.
Yeah, listen to your schnoz.
That word,
true.
it always reminds me of Home Alone 2. Or is it 1? See, now I can't remember. It's in one of the Home Alones.
When he talks about his schnoz?
I can't even remember the scene. But for some reason in my life, the word schnoz has been linked forever to Home Alone.
Yeah, well.
Let's see. Home Alone quotes schnoz.
I mean, Marv would have said it, right?
Yes, of course.
Because he's Jewish.
I'm also apparently dyslexic now because I wrote Home Schnoz Alone quotes. Oh, yeah, so that when they were faking being hit by the paint cans coming.
Oh, yeah, he's like, right in the schnoz.
That's it.
Nice job.
It's weird how those connections are made. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I don't remember the scene. I don't know. But it just has been tied to Home Alone. Anyway, the milk.
Well, now it's in your coffee. You got to smell the milk. How's it taste in your coffee? Soggy.
It tastes fine. I mean, there's no chunks. Also, what's the worst that happens with bad milk?
You get a sour stomach.
Do you? Isn't cottage cheese just rotted milk?
It's not rotted. I mean, dry aged steak is just old steak.
Yeah, it's like prosciutto.
You still get prosciutto.
It's just raw meat that's been hung to dry out, covered in salt. It's not cooked at all.
Well, it's sort of cooked. Like the enzymes kind of cook it or something. Right?
Yeah.
Not cook it, but like it's not really, it's raw, but it's not like if you ate it before it was dried raw.
Yeah, and ate the colonies of bacteria.
Mm-hmm. Gabagool.
I don't know. I guess it's fine. Probably time to get rid of that milk. But I didn't smell anything. It was the point when I smelled it. It smelled fine.
All right, then it's probably fine.
But I don't know what I'm smelling.
You would know. I think you'd know.
It's just built in.
Yeah.
It's a biological thing.
I think so.
Humans evolved the knowledge of when a milk smell is rotted.
There was I had
spoiled.
I had some deli turkey in my drawer thing, in the drawer in the fridge, and I knew it was old. And I felt it, and it didn't feel slimy. And I thought, oh, maybe it's okay. But then I gave it a smell, and I was like, not gonna risk it.
How old was it?
It smelled weird. I don't know. I just knew it had been in there too long.
Yeah, with deli meat.
I was like, ooh, I forgot about that turkey back there.
With deli meat, I never know.
You do know. You just have to smell it. Your schnoz will tell you.
I feel like a few days after I've purchased it. I'm like,
A few days.
It's meat. It's meat that's just sitting there, exposed. All right, it's in a plastic.
Not exposed.
Oh, it's in a plastic bag that has a terrible zipping mechanism that causes you to rip the bag when you're trying to open it. So then the air rushes in and spoils the meat. I'm a big fan of deli meats. You know this. I love luncheon meats. Mm-hmm. I go boar's head all the way, though. None of that processed shit. highly processed.
Boar's head's the best.
Yeah. It's not, boar's head isn't, actually, I can't speak to boar's head. I don't know what their process is, but it's better than butterball, right?
Butterball seems like that big, okay, like if you got butterball turkey, like if you got that at the deli, it just makes me think it's a hot dog, but made of turkey.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. That's a good comparison. It's just
Turkey hot dog,
it's a giant ball of
what a horrible name, Butterball.
of 6,000 different turkeys.
And parts, parts.
That have been formed into the shape of one turkey breast. It's not even that close, but it's about
It's not even a turkey breast. Isn't it just like a lump?
It is, but it's about the size of a turkey, right? I think they kind of gauge the size of it on the animal. Because with the other products, like if you get a chicken type, that's a smaller lump of meat.
It is smaller, you're right.
They just said like, make it the size of the animal so people think it's real.
Butterball.
Yeah, I need to do research. I know boar's head is much better. I just I can't speak to it because I was going to say that there's got to be a process still. It's still processed in a way.
I think it is, but I think I would trust getting deli roast beef or something more than I would trust getting like the turkey, because I feel like the turkey is like the hot dog version. And really getting yourself a turkey, like an actual turkey, not just for Thanksgiving, and then using the meat from it to, use on sandwiches or in soups or whatever is not that hard. Making a turkey is not that hard. There's all these all this folklore around ruining the turkey over Thanksgiving. It's not very hard to cook a turkey.
It's not difficult, but it's still much more work.
It's not that much work. You just cover it. You just slather it, skin with butter. You put all kinds of shit all over it.
I know,
you might
but
stuff a lemon up its butt, and then you put it in the fucking oven.
But buying just meat that's ready to go, it's much easier. That's all I'm saying.
I guess. But then you're eating hot dog, turkey hot dog.
Just buy boar's head. It's the way to go.
Okay.
Can you buy turkeys year round? Are they just available?
Yeah. What do you think? They only slaughter turkeys once a year? The annual turkey genocide.
I just don't know many people who are buying turkeys outside of the holidays.
I know. I had done it. I've done it. There was one year where I did it 3 times, including Thanksgiving. So twice outside of Thanksgiving. Just for its meat and its carcass. And its extras.
Is it cheaper? Do they gouge the prices during the holidays? Can you get a turkey that's off-season turkey? It's half price.
Yeah, I bet you it is. I didn't really pay attention. I just knew that it was going to be cheaper than lunch meat over time.
Over time. I mean, sure, over time.
Yeah. Not in that one moment.
You're playing the long game with your meats. This is where you currently exist when you ask.
Well, sometimes you know how I get into I'm kind of into it right now where it's I try and make things if I can. It's that too. I've gotten into that before. It's why don't I just get a turkey instead of getting turkey meat? I'll just make the turkey.
You gotta make more money. It's absolutely ridiculous. I know this is not the place to talk about it. It's
not that I don't have the money. It's just, it's better for our lives.
Okay, well, it made me think about you coming up with these things because, sometimes you ask me, should I sell my AMC? I'm like, how much would you make? $70. I was like, man, you really need money. And that's
well, I mean, not that I need the $70. It's that if I sell it now, I'll have $300 something. You know what I mean? So it's $300 or plus just staring at me. And I think, why am I just letting it sit here and go down and then back up and then down?
Yeah, so the initial investment plus the $70 you made.
I think it's only 54 that I've made right now.
Well, I mean, $300 isn't that much money, but I mean, for some people it is, and
it's a decent amount of money for me.
It's not commentary on you. It's commentary on the fact that you're on a #1 rated radio show, and it doesn't mean anything.
I know.
Old media Old media, like I hate using the terms old and new, but it's the way to differentiate between the TV and radio. And, local TV people don't make that much either. Like, you would think, oh, yeah, there's still money there. There's not. The stupid industry I work in, new media, like, money is pouring out of the seams. It's everywhere.
I know. Why?
That's where the advertisers went because they left. They left old media. So the money isn't really there as much because you can give a very targeted, my heat's turning on. You hear that?
Oh, I hear it.
It was cold and I made the choice. I'll leave the heat on. I have a thermostat in this apartment. I can turn the
big money.
The boiler on and turn it off, unlike most New York City apartments where it's like, I hope it comes on.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, with online you can target the people. Targeted ads and all that shit, and better.
How does radio get into that?
And better metrics, so you can see who clicked on what and who engaged with what. Radio can't offer any of that. It's like, oh, we put it on there. Let's hope that people.
I know, but how do they've got to, if they're going to have to change, or even if they didn't want to, how would they?
Get listenership back up. I mean, I know that's the thing. This is where it becomes tricky because.
Well, I think paying attention to the podcast numbers and places online where things can be watched, but also consumed, and like what Eric's trying to do with like the better visual element, like other podcasts have. I think giving that more. Recognizing that is probably going to be the future way to make money, because then you can have targeted ads.
Yeah, I do think it's better that way.
Yeah.
If you're working off of an advertising model, which there's always a trade-off. You get content for free, and unless you count your time having to listen to commercials as not free, and that's a fair assessment, but
yeah,
you get something for free with the advertising model with all its problems, because then people can start to dictate the content. But that's not happening with your situation.
Yeah.
So anyway,
what am I gonna do?
He's gonna figure it out, but then he's gonna be 68, and then I'm done. Eric will be done, and you'll be not even 50.
Yeah.
Well, if he's 68, you'll be 50. Right.
Yeah. Welcome to One Topic, where we stick to one topic. My name is Autumn Fisher.
My name is Greg Russ. This week's topic, it was my choice, and I was having a hard time. I think I was getting a little too complicated with what I wanted to talk about instead of just coming up. The pre-show here, spoiled milk. I could have extended that for a whole show. That could have been a topic for a show. Though I do try to stay away from food items because I feel like
why?
Because they come up.
Sometimes we have to do food.
Yeah, but they come up so often. Like quite often, the initial point of conversation is about food stuff. And I thought,
I'm talking about food stuff.
I know, and then we end up talking about deli meats. It's like, see, that's fine, and these are things people can relate to. But then I was getting a bit too convoluted, I guess, in my thought. I've been feeling reflective lately as the year ends and the 30s end. I approach 40 years of age. See, that's not my reaction to it. My reaction to it is an oof, which is interesting that yours did. So anyway, my complex path into discussing this topic was thinking about being in kindergarten and I've brought this up before, I know, and how on the wall, it's strange that this is stuck in my mind for all these years. And this is how I break the year down, not into seasons per se, but into columns. 3 separate columns of 4 months each. Because on the wall, the months were listed in 3 columns. It was January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. 3rd column's always been my favorite. I hate the middle column. I used to dislike... When you're a kid, it's different. The middle column was cool because you had off from school. But as I've grown older, I hate the middle column. And I've grown to hate the first column.
Because of the weather?
Yes, I hate the middle column because of the weather, because I hate the summer and I hate the heat. And I don't like the first column anymore because it marks the start of a new year, which isn't exciting to me. And I just get settled into the old year, and then it ends. And then we're suddenly on to a new year. And I think with my birthday being close to the top of the year in February 2nd, that it's also representative of that coming. I wonder if I had a different birthday, if I would care about the first column as much, because I've never liked my birthday. I never liked the passage of time. Though my relationship with time, I feel as though changed a bit over the years, where before I was an adversary. I would sit there and I would stare it in the face and I'd say, I hate you. You're my enemy. And I'm just going to wade into you. I'm going to somehow quantify the passage of time, thinking of things like playing online dominoes and seeing that I spent a shitload of time playing over 16,000 games. To me, the stats. What
does that do? Does that give you like a sense of control?
No, there's no control. But it's like, people say.
I know there's no control, but does it give you a sense of control?
People say face your fears, right? They say face them. And so time is my fear. I'm not scared of snakes or spiders, for example. I am scared of snakes. I wouldn't want to come across a snake. But, and then, if I'm scared of a spider, it's like, hold the spider in your hand. So this is similar. I'm scared of time. Like, okay, hold time in your hand. Okay. So that's what I did. And I feel as though that is shifted a bit. Now time just more so exists. But obviously there are elements of this that still exist. My conflicted relationship with the passage of time. So, I was just thinking of being already, again, in the third column of the year. And then I expanded that, I guess, to my life. And we're in the middle column, firmly entrenched in that middle column of life as 40 approaches. And it's interesting that your reaction is ugh.
Well, it wasn't ugh. It was more like oof.
Yes, I guess there's a difference between those things.
Yeah, because I guess emotionally it feels like, wow, okay, 40. That means I'm 40. And only older people are 40, and I don't feel like that. I don't feel like people that I thought of as 40, and so it's weird to think of myself as someone who is in their 40s.
You still have at least 8 months to go.
Oh, well, yeah. My birthday's in June, so I have a bit to go. But, it's coming. And I'm not, afraid of it. I don't really think it means anything. But like I said, it just emotionally... Or maybe it's hard to describe. It really... everybody says this, right? Like all the other birthdays, 30, when you turn 30, it doesn't feel as important, right? Because it's sort of like the first sort of milestone that doesn't mean as much, since you've turned 21. And then 40 feels more important to me just because of how I feel about adults, and how I feel about people who are older. And I don't mean in age, but I just mean in their spirit, their how they feel about their lives, how they behave in their lives. People in their 40s to me, are the sort of zombie people who live their lives. And I do all these things too. You take care of your kids, you go to the grocery store, you sneak some wine with your friends, oh, we have a book club, but really it's just a drink of wine. Shut up. No. And that spiritually to me is 40. There are some people who are younger than that, but they act like that. There are some people who are younger, but spiritually act in their 40s.
There certainly is a way that people carry. I think about myself being almost 40 and, I'm still making weird noises
Yeah.
as I go about my daily business, and not carrying myself in a way, and I've talked previously about wanting to start to dress nicer, but that's nothing to do with a feeling of having to be at a certain place by this age. I just feel like that's where I am. That's something I would like to do. But, that does fall into it sometimes, though I think it's reversed now. I think people, when we think of people who are middle-aged, they're giving less of a shit and just dressing like slobs. So maybe it's a bit different to actually put a little effort into it, because I have so much going on and I'm so defeated in my life. But yes, what you're saying is most people come off as a stereotypical adult by that age, and I don't necessarily feel as though I match it. But I don't spend too much time thinking about it. It also could be because of where I live.
Yeah, I think it is. I don't think how we're feeling or how we behave is unique, but I do feel like as you get older, the amount of people that are like that gets smaller and smaller. And for you living in New York, right, it is different. You're around people who aren't as dead. And I don't mean that everyone where I live is dead, but there's just like a higher percentage of people who I feel like are dead here.
Yeah, and then not to say that there aren't people
they're happy. They're happy being dead, I guess. I judge it, but
maybe they're
they
not
can do
aware.
whatever they want.
Maybe they're not aware that they're dead. Like the people, the neighborhood next to mine, Carroll Gardens, has a very good school, so it's filled with families, and you see a lot of the same things you would see in the suburbs. It's like these affluent white families that have everything you're supposed to have, and you're like, you don't seem like you're really enjoying much. And part of that really is what society has imposed on us as success. And this isn't the path I want to go down, but it exists. It's like these are the things you're supposed to do. And I think people do those things and they don't get much out of it, because for some people that does work and it works fine. I think my sister is an example of this. She lives in the suburbs. She just had her third kid. Like, she enjoys it. She loves it. That's the life she wants. But to make that the standard for everyone, the people who don't necessarily want that, when they start to realize that and live a different way, either feels that they don't fit in, or they still feel like an outcast, or they just give in, which a lot of people do. I'm like, all right, this is the life I'm supposed to live. And then I think it drains them of anything, any soul that they had.
I kind of feel like that.
You, with choices you've made.
Yeah. I wasn't doing them because I thought that I had to, or I was like, I didn't feel pressure. I wasn't doing things consciously.
No, you just,
because
you just didn't think about it. You're like, I'm doing it.
I just didn't think about it. Yeah. I never thought about what I truly wanted, So yeah. Once I realized I was there, I had gotten to the place where I guess I thought I wanted to be, or I thought I was supposed to be happy now, or it sort of all sort of caved in, and I was like, oh, I'm actually not happy. And I didn't realize that at the time. I didn't know what it was. I thought I couldn't put like a really fine point as to why I felt this way and how I got there. But, 3 years out of it or whatever, I feel a lot, it's a lot easier to understand what was actually happening. I
think the presentation too, you saying that you weren't happy, like it's not the pursuit of now just happiness, because, I think people, that's a trap. Oh
yeah. Cause the only thing that happened, or one of the biggest things for me, was things got way more difficult,
Yeah. But this idea of I'm going to go find happiness. Like, I feel like that's a trap. It's really just accepting who you are and the things that you want, and figuring out what the hell you want. It's a very difficult thing, because just because I didn't follow a traditional path doesn't mean that I knew what the fuck I wanted. Like,
right. It took you a long time too.
I was just, my default wasn't to conform. It was, I'm just going to avoid all this fucking shit. And
right. Which was also unhealthy.
Yeah. I'm not saying it was. I'm saying that in the long run, I'm glad that that's the path I took.
And it almost was like there were things that I think were true about you that you tried to avoid.
Such as?
I don't know, enjoying certain things.
Like what?
I don't know. I can't put it, I don't know exactly, but there are just some things where it's like you are allowed to enjoy this thing, even though it's something that you don't want to enjoy.
Sure. I mean, when you're in the throes of misery, they have to keep the image alive. You know, like, all
Right.
But
And that again is you avoiding who you might really be.
outside of that, getting back to the bigger picture here, 'cause I'm
I'm just saying,
not-
I did the same thing. You did the same thing. We've always been like the opposite side of the same coin.
Yes, and I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not.
Okay.
You know, you bring up 30, how it wasn't like 30 to me was the big
Oh yeah.
fucking deal. I hated 30.
I did not care.
I freaked the fuck out at 30 because I think it was, you know, the way my mind works and big round numbers. And as I've already established, the passage of time, especially at that time being an enemy that constantly threw in my face that I was going to die one day, a mere mortal. 30 hit my life. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Like professionally, it was in chaos because it was the transition from radio into video, but I wasn't even sure I wanted to do that yet. I had no real clue where I was. I was working for that quack of a fake doctor who put out documentaries like coffee enemas cure cancer. And I was like, this is not what I want to be doing. I just I'm doing this for a paycheck. Put a fake credit in your movie for me, please. I don't want to be associated with you. And I had zero clue, you know, as to what it was I needed or wanted in life. Like I wasn't comfortable with myself. So 30 to me was just a big, you're really fucking this up. You're really dropping the ball, you fucking loser. And instead of trying to figure out things, that was when I settled into real avoidance. And that's when I was like, yeah, I don't know, I like these pills and I'll do this and I'm going to hang out. And I don't have the will or the confidence or the energy to move forward and try to figure out the things that I actually want. And then I feel as though these past 10 years have been that. It seems like an easy thing, just accepting who you are and things that you want, but it's a very slow process for me. But I think approaching 40, for me, I am at a peace and I'm much more comfortable with that. It's a time of reflection, I think, right now for me, instead of this awful turmoil. And I much prefer, I have to say that I look at other people who are around our age, who are assessing their lives similarly, and like, what the fuck? I've got all, like, it's like a real fucking mess. And not to say that my path was better, but there's part of me that's a little cocky about it. I'm like, yeah, it was better. It was better. I don't know if it's
despite the struggle.
Yeah, it's like my struggle, while there was a lot of destruction in its wake, mostly in the form of, you know, romantic relationships. That was the big thing. Because I just kept getting into these relationships that I shouldn't have been in, because I had this idea that I would be in a relationship and it would force me to change, or it would force me to figure out the things that I needed to find fulfillment in life. And that's the opposite approach. And it also puts relationships in this box where it's like, I need to be in a relationship because that's going to be the trigger. That's wrong. Like I never actually, if you ask me now, out of all those relationships, and this is not to take away from the people I dated, and not to say I didn't enjoy it, but I didn't actually want to be in many of those at all. And I don't know why I kept finding myself in one.
Well, because you liked the beginning. It's like what I say about having a pet. I don't really want a pet. I just want a kitten or a puppy.
Well, because
I don't want the rest. I don't want the adult version of those things. So you don't want the relationship. You just want the beginnings.
Well, I think I wanted the relationship. I just couldn't get to the actual relationship. The beginning obviously is fun because your brain is flooded with fucking endorphins and you're high. But outside of that, for me, it was like, all right, I'm presenting myself. This is who I am. And you put all your shit on the table and someone accepts that shit and they're like, oh, cool. But so you don't really know what that shit is. You tell them, But what they see is, here's a person who's open and honest with their feelings, and then they get someone a few months later who's completely shut down and not what they thought they were getting, and then you get to say, I told you this is what I do. You should have been ready for it. It's like stupid. It was a trap for people. It wasn't fair for fucking people. And it wasn't that I was doing it on purpose. I thought that at some point I would move through that and remain open and then be ready to put the work into an actual relationship. Like, I like the idea of having a relationship that's moved past through. Like, some people say, I'm addicted to the first stages of it, and that's why I continue to have these. It's like I long for the connection of a relationship. It's like, yeah, this is fucking messy and hard work sometimes, but it's kind of cool that we can navigate this because there's an understanding there. There's this level of understanding with another person that I think is what I was really longing for. It's like you're with someone and you know, yeah, whatever. I fucking hate you today. You hate me today, but that's not even a big deal. Like, I think it's cool to me.
Oof, that all feels so intimidating. To me, I'm not ready for any of that right now.
I think that's a really, like, that's the best way to sum it up.
Whereas before, I had never thought about that.
The best way to sum it up for me is I want a relationship where it's like, yeah, we fucking hate each other, but it doesn't instill any anxiety because we still know that we love each other. It's like, that's cool. That's what I want. It's like, fuck you. It's like, but not in a some people say fuck you in a real nasty way, but you can be like, fuck you, get out of here. And that's the kind of connection. And I guess it sounds, emo, but it's like the lack of understanding, I think, has been the biggest struggle in my life. It's like, yeah, I'm not sharing a lot, or I'm not going to give people a lot because they just won't get it. They're not going to understand it. So that's where that came from. But
interesting.
Anyway, I think you had thoughts on what I was saying.
Well, I was just thinking, I guess about my own experience. That if you're in the third column of your life.
Well, we're in the middle column. I just used the columns as an example of the way I break down the year.
But you're talking about your life, really.
Yeah, but we're still in the middle column at 40. We're not in the last column yet.
I think, though, for you might be in your favorite column.
No, I'm not in the favorite column yet. I'm sorry. I know you're trying to go somewhere with this. I'm not trying to shit on it. Okay. I'm really not. Don't shut down.
I'm not.
The idea at the beginning was just to present the idea of columns. But I know, but don't you think it applies to what's happening in your life? No, I think the columns are representative of the passage of time. So right now, I mean, if you're talking about where I stand and my feelings, then sure, you can say the feelings. That's what I'm talking about. You can say they closely match. No, I'm not talking about actual, like, how much time you have left. I'm talking about the stages of your life. And I feel like you're starting in your favorite column. Sure. I mean, okay, I'll go along with this so you don't feel completely shut down. And I also do understand what you're saying. Okay, that's what I'm saying. There is a shift in my feeling when September hits. It's like something lifts and I just feel a little more at peace. And I just lift because it's just the potential for cooler weather. Like, oh, it's happening. Once you start to feel like that little bit of cold, like, yes. Yeah, well, it's very, I like that too. I think that's the thing. Too. It's like a break from the oppressive heat. God, I don't understand people who love the heat. I don't either. They're aliens. Oh, I love Miami. Oh, that hot Miami heat. No way. I mean, listen, I don't want like oppressive, stinging, bone cold. But like, God, the cooler weather, the cool breeze, you got to wear a jacket. I would much prefer the bone crushing cold. Being somewhere in the northern territories in Canada and like going outside is like you don't want to be out there that long and you rush inside because when it's heat everyone's just spilled out onto the streets and they're sweating. Oh, if I had my choice between the two, absolutely I'll take the bone cold, but because you're just sweating through everything your underwear's wet. Ooh, it's horrible. Your balls are sticking to your leg. Ugh, guys are doing little squats when they're standing in line for stuff because their balls are sticking to their leg. Yes. So there's I mean, that's a big part of it. There's a break. It's just all
Little curtsies. It's the season of the male curtsy.
it's all much more romantic.
Yeah, you peel off a pea coat. Hot.
But so yeah, I think as this approaches, I'm not freaking out as much. I don't have as much death anxiety. I don't wake up in the middle of the night freaking out. In my relationship, I haven't done the thing where I wake up and look at the other person and think, how the fuck did I get here? That was a big thing. That always happened. And everyone I ever dated, at some point I wake up and they'd be in the bed next to me and I'm like, how? That's not a good sign. It's not a thing that you want. And it just shows that I was in it for the wrong... I don't want to say I was in it for the wrong reasons. I was just executing improperly.
If you had listened, if you had been in the place you are now back then, right, then you would be paying more attention to what... Oh, because you've actually realized that you have needs and that those needs are allowed to be needed.
Yes, it's just fucking accepting whoever the fuck you are.
Yeah.
And I'm not that big of a weirdo compared to some people. And that's no criticism against them. It's like, whatever, be yourself. But there's, for whatever reason, been a struggle. For the first time, this is interesting. I had to fire someone this week.
Oh.
And this was a person that I checked in with all the, I'm a post supervisor, so I oversee the editors and the other staff in the post-production department. And we're remote, so you don't see people in person, so you can't really gauge how they're doing. You can't read cues. So you check in with people, and at least I try to, because it's important, especially it's a busy time of the year and people are doing a lot of work, and you try to see how people are feeling. And you can only go on what they tell you. So when someone says, I'm good, I'm fine, fine, my favorite answer. You're like, okay. You can't say, no, you're
Fine.
not. No, you're not. So it got to this point where this one person who, like, I checked in with her often, and I thought we had a good relationship. I mean, didn't expand beyond work, but within the work setting, I thought we had a good relationship. And, like, even recently, there was an overbearing producer who is appearing at the end of the day, who was unreachable throughout the day, and would appear at the end and say, I need this done now. It's like, it's a shitty way to approach things. Someone's day's over. So I did some edits myself and then gave them to the editor and said, here, give these to the producer to make it seem like that she did the edits. That way it was kind of, because the producer's like, this editor's never going to get this done. And I was like, oh, let's show that person. Let's show them. Like, it's my rebellious streak, kind of like a fuck you to the person who's shitting on the person on my team who, I feel protective of. And so I even did this. I did these edits and I gave them to the editor to send out, and then they were done on time, and then it was like, yeah, see, you said that this couldn't be done. And, at the end, so this thing comes to a head last week, where on Friday night that thing kind of happens at the end of the day. This needs to be done now. And the editor's like, I'm done. I'm done for the night. And then just throws the project files out, which, the project file, for anyone who doesn't know, is like when you're editing, you create a file and all the work is stored in there. So if you have the footage on your computer, you have that project file from someone else, it'll connect to that footage and their edit will appear on your computer. So what ended up happening is my boss ended up having to take the edit on the Friday night to finish it because this editor kind of just ditched it. And so then earlier this week, I you have to have a conversation at that point about what happened. And I, brought it up. I said, hey, we need to talk about this. There's some fallout from it. As much as it fucking sucks, there's politics at play because this one producer has been around for a long time and you can't do shit like that. And she lost her shit. And
on you?
Well, just in general. It's like, this is all fucking bullshit.
Do you think she was in the right?
I think she was stressed and angry and burnt out, which is fair. I think some of the accusations that were thrown out there about how her pay was low, I mean, she worked pretty steadily and was making, at that rate, $91,000 a year. That's not, like, awful money. And then, I said, hey, when you did this, my boss had to take the edit and that doesn't look good on me. So just, you
Right.
know, basically I was saying, look, if you need to ditch for the night, just tell me and then I'll facilitate that. Like I'm not
Right.
going to, I'll handle it. That way it doesn't become a thing. And, you know, there were claims like, oh, boo-hoo, the boss has to do the edit, the rich boss with his benefits. And it's like, I know what my boss makes. It's not that much. Like the range between 91,000 and the salary, it's like there's no richness, but there's this idea that
Yeah.
everyone else is rich and oppressive. And
She was saying this to you?
yes.
Oh.
And, you know, and then at the end, you know, it also threw a statement at me that was, it's not my fault that me not doing those edits Friday night made you look bad at your job. I'm like, hey, fuck you. I didn't say that. But in my mind, that's where it got. I was like, I thought we were on the same side, and now I'm just a bad guy like everyone else.
Right.
And-
Instead of recognizing someone who was like a part of her like backing.
Yeah.
Like
And
you were there to back her.
And it really, really bothered me. Like I sat there and I was bothered by it for a long time. And it's not, you know, the way it went down and it specifically had an impact on me, but it was representative, I realize, of the way I fucking lived my life for a very long time. And especially with all these relationships, I was her and everyone else in the relationship was like asking me, how are you? Is there something you need? Can I help? And I'm like, I'm fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. I never actually told people what was actually going on. And then it got to a point where I'm sure the other people I was with felt like, what the fuck? I was on your side and you've turned on me. And now at the end, I'm just like everyone else. And it was, I think that realization that I had put people in the spot, people who actually did care and, you know, were looking out and wanted to put effort into the relationship and move forward with it. And I gave them fucking nothing and just kept them at bay until at some point it felt as though to them that I thought we were on the same side. Clearly we're not. And it was pretty shitty.
I mean, don't take all of that blame. There's
okay.
You weren't the only person that was, you know, messing up a relationship.
I'm not to say that I was.
Okay.
You know, out of all the relationships going through them, there was one person that I feel as though that if I were in the right spot, could have moved forward with. Like it really would have worked. And that was the one I treated most poorly, not directly. It wasn't outward disdain or anything nasty, but it was like this person was fully invested. I knew what they wanted. I knew that I had zero. This was like right when I turned 30 too. So it all synced up. And, you know, that was the one that I hold the most regret over because just there was a point we broke up and then it's like, no, let's get back together. I should have said, no, let's not fucking get back together. That would have been the right thing to do. But instead, you know, dragged her through another year of me giving nothing. And I think as I approach 40, you know, now I'm in another relationship that feels the same way as that one, but I'm in a totally different spot. Before, it's like no path was going to work. Nothing. There was no way forward. And now it's like, oh, there are ways forward here. And that's a new thing to me. And yeah, so I think it's a decent place to be in. And I know when we talk about all this stuff, it's like, you know, our relationship, yours and mine, you know, it prepped me for this. Clearly I was in this spot, I think, already.
Yeah.
Also, so focused on being in this spot already that I was, it was like, whatever, to all the other obstacles and hurdles in the way.
Yeah.
It's like, that's fine. That stuff can be managed, which, you know, would have been a huge undertaking. Can't say whether or not it could have been, but
yeah.
Yeah, as you've spoken or made noises or little comments throughout this commentary that I've put forth, it's like, yeah, you're like, ugh, I don't like the thought of any of that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I should have not, I honestly, like, I shouldn't have moved forward with you, even though it felt like this force that we couldn't help, and it felt so magical and amazing. I think with a clearer head, instead of a head full of serotonin, I think I would have chosen differently. Not because I didn't want to experience that or it was a mistake necessarily, but I put you through that. I put myself through that. I needed the time. And then even the little bit of relationship I had after that, like, shouldn't have happened. I needed the time to reflect or to sit. But I guess just like how, all the things you were talking about sort of prepared you for your relationship now, and you have to go through those things. Like, maybe I had to go through those things to really understand. I was not experiencing or thinking about what I actually needed. It was about what I wanted and about even what I wanted to need. And I didn't really pay attention to what I actually needed. And I guess it's just like wisdom, or like, going through a training, you have to rip the muscle to gain the muscle, and that's kind of what it was. I had to go through hard things and experience them for real, instead of just trying to not experience them in order to gain that wisdom, or to understand what I actually needed.
Well, I mean, the way I view it all now that we've moved through it is the relationship with you was, for you, I think, helped you move through a difficult part of your life. Not to say that it was, able to offset all the feelings, but if it helped soften the blow, then, that's worthwhile. And I think it prepped
But
me.
it was at your expense in some ways.
Yeah, but I got something out of it. It prepped me for, a relationship.
Yeah.
And I was ready to move forward and had this idea and started forming the groundwork for what I wanted in a relationship. So it prepped me for moving forward. And, I know that being in a relationship so soon and then moving in with someone so soon follows the same pattern that I had previously. But it you can tell people that it was different, but it really was different in the sense that I had this thought and these thoughts and this knowledge that I have been talking about in this episode going into that. It's like, okay, I don't need to be in a relationship. I don't even necessarily want to be in a relationship, but I was presented with an opportunity. It's like, this actually can give the things that I want. And sure, it's happening right now, and that's, fast and soon, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, absolutely.
And if there's any need for a signal that it's different, then, this is mostly for me. There's not like real critics out there pointing their finger at me, but because I did have a pattern of going from one relationship to another, it's like the desire to move in so quickly. It's like that had never been something I'd ever thought about previously in my life. It's like a no. That was always a hard no. It's like, I'm not living with someone I'm dating. I'm not.
Like, you were dating someone who you really liked, and you would only see them twice a week.
Yeah. So,
and the third day was brought up, and you're like,
totally. So,
that's a sign.
Exactly. But as we talk about this stuff, as it pertains to you and me, I like to look at it as, okay, there was this moment, and I brought this up the other day. It's like, I don't believe in fate, but I don't believe in fate. But Christina pointed out, you always say that, then you say something that makes it seem like you believe in fate. But the other example was when I was in Atlanta working on that comedy festival with Mike Albanese that he does in the East Atlanta Village. there was one comedian who I didn't know. This was a woman I never met before, and we kind of hit it off. And like, you just have instant connections with someone sometimes. And she asked me to help her film some of her sets because she lives here in the New York area with her wife. And I was like, sure, I can do that. And unfortunately, something happened on her end. And this is a person I don't know, but it was a big thing, and a difficult thing for her. Again, a person I don't know, but like, I felt it for her. I was like, hey, it's like, I know you. I feel like I know you. And this makes me sad. So it's like, I don't believe in fate, but I met this person and it just, clicked. Like, we've known each other and we're comfortable with each other and get each other.
Well, fate is a very romantic notion, and you have a large romantic brain.
But that goes, but I don't believe in fate because it's supernatural. It's something. And so yes, I'm very romantic, but I don't like fate because my romance lies in still science and logic. If you think about if you think about my romance, it does. I tie it to science in certain ways. But anyway, the point is, I'm not saying there's anything like fate, but with you, if we're friends for a long time and then for whatever reason come together at this moment in our lives that seemingly is very pivotal in whatever the rest of our lives presents, we both got something out of it. And if that's the purpose that it served, and then it settled back down and we're friends again, then I'm totally fine with that. The only point I was angry was, yes, when you jumped into another relationship, which also felt hypocritical since I had jumped into another relationship, and I was well aware of that. But and who am I to gauge the reasons? But I was pretty confident. Like, this is wrong. You're just doing this thing, the same thing that you do all the time. And I think with you, I had always said, if you're being honest and true to yourself, I'll deal with whatever that means, even for me. It's like, all right, if that's like a bad thing for me, depending on how bad, but you know what I'm trying to say. It's like, I'll find a way to be cool with it. But if it seems like you're just lying to yourself, that's not going to sit well.
Yeah, but to me, I mean, that's like going back to you at 31 and trying to tell you something and how to act and how to be. And,
I reckon.
It's just like you can't do it, and that's why I felt like mad, because I was just like, leave me alone. Like, I maybe I am fucking up, but I can't not fuck up right now. Like, this has to happen. I wasn't, because now I'm in a place where, I am seeing this person. I don't know what we are. I don't, and my instinct is to start thinking about him a lot and like text him, but don't text him too much. And then, I'm feeling that. And I'm my instinct again is to like figure out like what we are and what's happening. But instead I'm like, wait, it's fine. It can just be what it is. Focus on me. Think about what I want and what I need and what I'm doing in my life, and don't let it revolve. It's because I'm starting to feel that thing where it's like it's starting to revolve around this person. Don't do that. You know what I mean? And I'm just feeling my old ways coming in. But this time I'm seeing them and I'm recognizing them, and I've learned to not do that. And it feels good. It feels better.
I don't know if it's, if that behavior is who you are. I don't know if that's a bad thing. I think
so far it's been a bad thing because it's not about me. That sounds selfish and weird. What I mean is, it's like, it's not about my needs at all. Well, it's about my wants and what I want to need. But I think it's not about what I actually
a lot of that's driven out of anxiety with you too. It's like, should I text too much? I mean, all of that. What happened with Christina was, I did decide once that started up, it's like, because it's an idea, how do I want this to fit in? Where should I put it? What box should it be in? Or I could control it and try to steer it down a certain path. This is where I want it to go. And I just said, I don't fucking care. I'm just, whatever this is going to be, it's going to be.
Right.
And that's how I find myself living with someone, because she came over and kind of never left. And if I had a problem with that, if it didn't sit well with me, then we would have gone down that path. It's like, okay, look, I like you, but this is too much, and let's just figure this. I just let it be. And, when she was around quite a bit, I was thinking, am I going to freak out? I'm waiting for the freak out. I was like, just shut up. Stop thinking that shit. Just
right. So you're doing the same thing. You're recognizing the old pattern.
Yeah, I just let go is what I did.
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to let go.
I let go, but I also I let go while presenting myself as I am. I'm like, I'm fucking moody. I yell at things. This is all of it. And not to say that's easy, because then when you're showing a person that, you're like, they're surely going to fucking leave. But there's good things, obviously. A person doesn't stick around if there's not good things, but you don't think about the good things when you're worried about presenting yourself as you are. But I can be a difficult person, but I'm much more difficult when I'm trying to fucking control everything. These moments of difficulty are much less, and I'm sure people are much more inclined to deal with them when it's natural and it's passing. Instead of, I need to steer this relationship down this path, and I'm going to fucking force it down there. And nobody wants
because
to
it's not really authentically you. It's not you being yourself.
No, and that's
it's you struggling with what you want to be.
That's the important thing. So, if you're there, this is what I never understood, because I wasn't there and I wasn't able to do that. For a very long time, and people are like, why are you going to another relationship in the past? Why are you jumping to another one? Again, because I thought the relationship was going to get me to the spot. It was going to be the vehicle that got me to where I wanted to go. But without
that's what I thought about you, probably.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Like when you were saying before, after, and I saying I was angry with you, you're angry with me. Anger's fine. You can also be where I was at 30 fucking things up. I can recognize that. I can think about that now and understand it completely and not hold it against you, but I also am allowed to be angry in the moment.
To me, stuff like that, being angry at someone means like I'm going to kill them with my anger. Or they're going to kill me with their anger.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Like sometimes when I'm angry, I just get really sad, because sadness to me feels easier than anger.
I mean, if that's the way it comes out, then fine.
Yeah,
I think
but it's probably healthy to be okay with being angry.
I mean, it is.
My kids kind of teach me that. My kids, I get mad at them, and now that I've accepted that it's okay for me to be mad at them, it passes way more quickly. Instead of me resenting them because I've had to hide my anger.
You really do not like anger. It's very interesting.
Yeah,
it's uncomfortable.
I was raised a certain way.
It's uncomfortable. I get it. I don't like the idea of someone being angry with me, and it was a learning curve to, again, going back to what I said I would like, is like the sign of a good relationship is like, yeah, we're angry with each other, but it doesn't mean anything more than that. We're just angry right now. There's not a bunch of tertiary bullshit that comes along with it that's going to linger and have effects, and there's going to be passive aggressive behaviors. I don't want any of that shit. I just want to we're angry, and it's okay to be angry, and in the long run that doesn't mean anything. Right.
I mean, I understand the spirit of that, but in the moment it's hard to remember that. I mean, I'm better at it now. So like with my mom, there are times when we're talking and we have to hang up the phone quickly for some reason. And then if one of us does that, we'll call the other back and like, hey, I'm sorry I hung up so quick. Because we don't want the other to be mad at each other, at the other. And, if she's mad at me for something, then she feels awful, and she's very upset that she's, and then it's sort of a big thing. And I've had to tell her, like, it's okay for us to be annoyed with each other. It's fine. It's okay. It doesn't mean anything long. It happens, but, and then that puts like some pressure on me in a way, not as much now, 'cause I'm trying to get healthier mentally, whatever, and like unlearn some of that stuff. But then it puts some pressure on me to like make sure I never give her anything to be mad at me for, because it will upset her so much to be mad at me. Do you know what I mean? So What a weird sort of
What a
starting
waste
point.
tiring waste of energy is what it sounds like.
Yeah, it really is. When it's like, none of that needs to happen. It's fine. She can be annoyed. It's cool. It's not a big deal.
No one's going to hold it against you forever, is the point.
No, they won't.
A person's not just going to say, get the fuck out of here, I hate you, I'm finished with. I mean, maybe somebody would, then that tells you what you need to know about them. It would still hurt if somebody you cared about is like, fuck
But
you.
that's wild. Like, that's a wild reaction. And the thing, like, with my mom, she only reacts that way is because when her mom was mad at her,
She locked her in a room.
mom, huh?
She locked her in a room, withheld food.
No, but she probably withheld love.
Yeah, just
You know?
it's worse.
Right. And so, my mom learned that anger can kill, And so when she would feel anger, she didn't want to kill. She didn't want to kill me because she knew how it had felt. But then it just turned into this, it turned it inside out instead of getting rid of it. So I'm trying to get rid of it. And I'm sure, listen, I'm going to fuck up my kids in some kind of way, in some new, maybe unique way. Who knows?
I think the biggest thing with kids is just everyone shies away from feelings. And even if you bring up feelings, like, fucking pussy talking about feelings. Like, no, it's not that. I'm not wallowing in feelings. Mm-hmm. It's just accepting that feelings are real. Sometimes they're illogical and they're still valid. And then fucking processing them and moving through them. That way you don't wallow in them and throw them on everyone else and make every other person hold your feelings. Because, those are the two extremes. Either you get someone who's showing no fucking feelings or someone who's giving way too many.
Right. And I feel like what I try and do, sorry, this is my kids. What I try and do is show them that I have feelings and then that they end. Those feelings do go away. And I'm not withholding any affection or love or anything. It's just, hey, I felt this way and now it's over. And we move on.
Well, that's the way to set them up. I mean, I don't know how much you'll fuck them up if you do set them up that way. Whatever. There'll be other ways, but that's the most important way. That way you don't get some strange monster creation like you.
Yeah.
Or me.
Super cool.
I mean, my parents, it wasn't that the feelings were not allowed. It was just more so they didn't press me on them. Like, okay. Like there wasn't any questioning. Maybe there should have been more. It's like I was just allowed to exist with creating my own weird coping mechanisms.
Yeah, there definitely should have been more. But maybe they were avoiding something they didn't want to deal with.
Yeah, who knows? But anyway, I didn't mean for this whole show to become about relationships. The point was...
No, this is I loved this.
The point...
Sorry if my son's iPad is in here now with him. So.
And we'll express some of that anger now.
Yeah. Get the fuck out.
You should do it. Let the audience hear that you're comfortable being angry.
Hey, Pete, come here. Can you pause that, please?
You don't really have to put on a show.
No, he's going to say the end of the show.
No, he's going to say no.
We're
We'll wrap this up.
Press pause.
I don't.
We're wrapping up now.
He doesn't need to stay at the end of the show. He doesn't need
Come
to
on,
say
it'll be
that.
fun.
No, he doesn't need to say that. I'm
lost them. This is it. I told you we're on borrowed time.
Well, we're an hour in, so I guess we made it.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Anyway, this is where we went. The point was, as I approach 40, I feel good. 30 was a fucking mess. And I'm reflective, and time isn't as much of an enemy now. I just kind of exist. I'm like, all right, here we are. We're going to go through the rest of this alongside each other. You're still going to win in the end, and I hate you for that, but fine.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? I can't beat you. There's no beating you. Time.
All right. Yeah. Don't consider time a friend.
No, you don't have to put a ribbon on it. You can just wrap up the show.
Wow. Asshole.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks everybody for listening. Now I'm annoyed. Thanks everybody for listening. Use our topic. That's
it. Thanks.